Hello and welcome to the Outcast. I'm your host HC, and with me is.
Wolf.
And today, happy 10th anniversary to Frozen. Have you let go of this movie yet? No? Well, I think people started to a little bit, considering it's been so long. But holy shit, it's been 10 years since Frozen came out.
God, I feel
That's
old.
Yeah, we talk about stuff turning to the fact that it's been a decade since this came out, because when it came out, we're probably gonna mention this, but like it was so massive, it was everywhere. It was You couldn't escape it, and now to think it's been 10 years since then.
I didn't even watch the film when it first came out. Even I knew about Let It Go and and Frozen, right?
I don't think there's anyone who doesn't know what Frozen is. Like, at least let it go. At
It
least
caught me under my little rock that I live in the middle of the woods, in the middle of nowhere. It still got me. So
Mhm.
I don't know
Well,
how, but it did.
We'll talk about this in a bit, but before I did promise my fiance, so we need to start with something. Wolf, What is your opinion about Olaf's nipples?
No comment.
I'm sorry, fiance, if you're seeing this, but apparently he doesn't have any comment because we were watching one of the show.
Or
We were
do
watching
I? Wink.
We were watching Frozen Fever a few months ago, and suddenly she's just like, I just realized that all of little things on his belly are kind of like nipples, and I'm like, okay, interesting observation, and ever since then it's a running joke.
I can. Having spoken with her, uh, your fiance is a wild one.
She is, and I love her for it.
Mm-hmm. Fair,
Love you,
fair.
babe. Anyway, so back to Frozen. So I guess you weren't aware, like back to when the first one came out, maybe even a bit before it. You weren't aware that this was coming out, and suddenly people just started talking about it. That's how it was for you.
Uh, hmm. Yeah, more or less. I want to say I heard about it. Like, it wasn't so much people were talking about it. I just kind of saw the stuff everywhere. And
Mhm.
then when the first one came out, I think it was a year after it came out. Uh we didn't go see it in theaters, but because it was like a year afterwards. But me,
Yeah, it
mom,
was a
and
year after.
little brother and sister just kind of sat down and watched it as a family thing. A thing we
Hmm.
do from time to time, watch family film.
Well, that's very fair.
Especially Disney. Mom loves Disney. Or loved.
Well, there's always someone in the family that's like, let's go for the Disney stuff.
She was
They
definitely the
might be
one.
evil. They might be evil, but we have a connection. What can you do? So basically, just you sat down to watch it with the family, and that's how. So for me, I knew this was coming out like back in the day. I knew that the next big Disney movie was gonna be titled Frozen, and first thing I heard about it, which kind of got me interested, because believe it or not, I knew who Kristen Bell was before this movie.
Fair.
Which I know a lot of other people did, but it's gonna. I think it's one of those things that you need to make clear. I actually I actually heard about it thanks to Kristen Bell voicing Anna. I'm a big fan of Kristen Bell, so I thought it was cool that she's the next Disney princess, so to speak. And then I saw the trailer, and I'm like, wow, that's literally Rapunzel's model, but they changed outfit. That's wow, Disney, wow. And then I basically just had this kind of like, I don't want to say negative, but very like meh opinion of it, that I'm kind of like, oh, oh, this is basically going to be another Tangled or something. And I'm like, but okay, I love Tangled, so why not? I'll give this a shot. And then just so happens that when it came out on opening weekend, I've seen some good reviews, but nothing more. And I just went to see it, like, honestly, really out on a whim, because I realized I had the time and it was either now or never. because of other stuff that was going on. So I just kind of went on a whim, and I ended up really loving it. I was really into it. I love the songs, I love the characters. I was a bit off. I was a bit like about the twist villain, but we'll get there. And also, I don't really think we need to put a spoiler tag on anything because it's Frozen. If you all listen to this, you know what Frozen. So,
No.
so but afterwards, I am kind of sad to say that when now people say that Frozen became overhyped and is all over. I am kind of sad to say that I may have been one of those people that overhyped it because it got me good. I really liked it when it first
I
came
don't
out,
think the
and
first one got overhyped. I think Let It Go was everywhere, like
but
everywhere.
by proxy,
I mean,
when you
fair,
when because let's say Let It Go is not a song that's on its own. It came from this movie. It
but
will
at,
forever belong to that movie. I
at the
know it
same
exploded
time,
beyond itself.
I think it's like worth bringing up. Like before Let It Go, what Disney song had gotten that popular, right? Like
It's an
it had
interesting
been
question.
some time, right, since a
Yeah,
Disney movie song had been like, boom, it's everywhere because it's
though
you
I
know,
guess it would depend on the time because I want to say to some extent Tangled was YouTube was a big thing when Tangled was around was a thing, but
I don't know. Maybe I
no,
just wasn't
no, but not
involved,
not to the
but
same point though. That today that there are so many people doing cover songs and stuff, it became more of a thing in 2013 than it was in 2010.
yeah.
So I can't really, but in general, not just the song, but I, I guess maybe because of Let It Go, but really, Frozen kind of brought back that Disney princess magic that
Well, yeah, that's
that's
something else I
only
was gonna bring up too. Like
that
Frozen felt like that felt like the start of that kind of resurgence for the Disney
wouldn't
animated
say
film.
that. Like some people would argue it started with Bolt, and some would say Princess and the Frog. Either one of the two.
I mean, fair.
But but like because because Tangled is obviously great. Wreck-It Ralph was also amazing. But the thing is that like in terms of cultural impact, Frozen was the one that just took over the world for like a good few years.
It's
It
true.
was like it was a massive hit. It was the first time that Disney made $1 billion at the box office. That wasn't really a thing back then. And again, with the Let It Go being such a hit, and I think that kind of because I don't want to say necessarily that there weren't covers on YouTube before this because there were, but again, it kind of started this thing that now every Disney song has like a ton of covers for it. It started a trend in a way.
Well, it also
But
started a bad trend too, in my opinion. Looking at Frozen
with,
2, in that I think you know I don't know how heavy you want to get into that, but
we'll get to
I
Frozen
think
2.
Frozen Two's focus is on the wrong thing because of the first Frozen movie. But we'll get there.
I think I know what you mean, but we'll get to Frozen 2 in a bit. We are because we're gonna cover everything for the record. It's
But
not just the
like
first movie, but
talking about Frozen and things we loved about it, I loved, right? Like it was at the time at least very novel and very interesting to see like, hey, the curse is broken by familial love and things like that, right? Like the first
I
movie was
want to
very
say
novel for the stuff that it did.
I want to say that for the record, I know that that movie isn't like as well regarded or as, but to an extent, I want to say that Brave did beat Frozen to it. That being said, though, Brave is technically a Pixar movie, not a
Well, yeah,
Disney
because like Brave did kind of set the tone moving forward for that era of
some would
movies a little bit, like Brave and
some
then
would
How to Train Your
say
Dragon.
yeah, well, How to Train a Dragon was before, but and also not Disney. But
I
I
know, I'm
want
just
to
saying.
say though, yeah, but I want to say though that yeah, it seemed like the Brave walked so that Frozen could run in a
Hmm.
way
I agree.
because I think people were too focused on the fact that Brave was a princess movie from Pixar to the point that they kind of missed they kind of missed where it would about the few things that it did do different. But with Frozen, I think it stood a bit more that suddenly like they make fun of the fact that you can't marry a person you just met. or this cliche that it's not the true love's kiss that saves the day, it's love between sisters that saves the day. I think it to draw more attention because it was the canon Disney, not a Disney side studio which did that. So for the core Disney studio, that was really interesting.
Mm.
And but overall, like even besides that, it has those things, but I think I still stand by it. Again, and not that the movie is perfect, right? But I still stand by it. The story and the characters are just good in Frozen. They are likable. They are funny. You don't want anything bad to happen to them. Olaf can be debatable if he's annoying or not, but that's a very comic relief character in any movie. It's not like that he's. I love him personally. Olaf's great, but um, and I just think that really the songs were for the most. I think there's only Frozen Heart I don't really care for that much, but every other song is basically a banger, and there are a lot of them. It's not like in other Disney musicals where you have five songs. There you go. There's your soundtrack. They really made it. They really made it look like and act and feel like a Broadway production almost.
I would say for the first movie, like I don't disagree with you, but it did have less songs, right? The second movie had more, a lot
There,
more. I felt.
um I think it's maybe around the same, but I think the
I
second
feel like
one
the
just
second one
spread.
has more.
Hmm. Well, either
Maybe
way,
I'm
we'll
wrong,
need
but
to count it later. But yeah, it's so interesting to just look back at this, and I guess some people would argue, oh, it's been a decade, it's aged, or maybe the haters would be like, oh, it was never that good to begin with, it's just that stupid song. But for the record, if you don't like the movie, that's fine. I have a lot of friends that don't like it. Perfectly fair. But I feel like a lot of that, oh, Frozen isn't that good as they made it out to be, is because it became so popular, and people are because there's this entire debate now about if Tangled or Frozen is better than one another, and I'm like, can we just enjoy both for what they are? Is this really that much of a crime?
apparently yes.
Hmm. Well,
But again,
honestly,
I
in
think
this
it
debate,
always that always comes with the territory, right? It's gonna be loved at first and then hated afterwards, right? But it
hmm,
didn't do the first movie at the very least, in my opinion, was a very solid film. It did nothing wrong. It looked absolutely beautiful and amazing, and a lot of the songs. And again, this is coming from me too, right?
hmm,
As old as I am. This is a
yeah,
lot of the songs were really good, really catchy, and the voice performances from everyone was absolutely stellar. I think
that's
the
something
weakest part of the first film was Hans. He kind of felt like a
I'll
little
get to
out of
him.
nowhere, but
I'll get to him because
that's
I
it.
just because you did mention the voice cast, and I want to say that for the record, both again, I was a fan of Kristen Bell before the movie, but after the movie, I became a fan of Vidina Menzel, Jonathan Groff, Josh Gad to a lesser extent, but still, like I saw them in other things, and like I grew to really like their other works. And yet, whenever I watch any Frozen product,
I would say
I can.
I've seen comedic reliefs done better elsewhere in other movies,
Mhm.
but Olaf is
Yeah, but
fine. Like he's not
mhm.
the
No,
worst.
there you go. But what I'm saying though is with the voice cast is that even though I now know them from other stuff and I've seen them do other stuff or heard them do other stuff, whenever I'm put into the Frozen world, even either if I'm watching one of the movies or the shorts or whatever, I just forget that it's them. They blend with these characters so well in my head that for a moment, I forget that these are these people. You know what I mean? I don't hear the celebrities. I hear the characters, even though
Mm-hmm.
I know the celebrities. So there's that. Now, Hans. Oh boy, Hans.
Mm-hmm.
Let me ask you, what was the first thing you that went through your head when this twist happened?
I mean, I liked the idea that okay, so they're not just doing the stupid thing of Anna gets with this dude that she just met literally a day ago, and they're getting married, and this is all happening. Like, all right, so they're showing that okay, yeah, no, this is stupid, but it does feel kind of out of nowhere, right? It feels like there was just zero build up to this guy being, evil.
Hmm.
He just all
I
of a sudden is because they kind of needed it. It felt like, well, we kind of need something to happen here so we can have,
so we can either have a climax or to push Anna and Kristoff together or
or
something.
to have Anna and Elsa have their moment, right?
Yeah.
It felt like this has to happen because this, but we don't have any other reason. So turn to Hans. That's our reason. Let's go.
To be honest, no, actually, it doesn't. To be honest, but like when I first saw this, I was really enjoying the ride. Right, I was loving it. I was invested. I wanted to see what was gonna happen. I am all in. And when that part happened, I felt like the movie actually died a little. Like it was this moment of like, I no joke. I was actually holding my bottle of water, and I remember like crunching it. Like, are you kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me? And so that was a moment of anger for me, and I think it's like I walked out of the movie like I loved all of it except the villain. That was the one. That was the one thing that I would say I hated. I hated the villain. And as more time passed and the more I watched it, I am starting to accept it more that it makes sense for Anna's arc of not trusting anyone, not trusting everyone that you just meet. I get that because she's very much an she's very social. She's very I want to meet other people and stuff, and how people like this can people if you're like this, people can manipulate you. I guess it works for her character. It doesn't make it good. It's still clumsy, right? But I
Hmm.
guess I see the idea. And I would still say that because now that there's this entire thing with the Disney twist villain, which came afterwards, I would say that Hans is done better than all the other twist villains that we got afterwards.
Yeah, yeah. They've been up and down with that one, unfortunately.
I honestly, you say up and down. I think most people would just tell you it's down because people
Yeah,
don't like the twist villain
I'm
whatsoever.
being nice. Yeah, it's mostly down.
Hmm.
I think Disney's just
Well,
not good at doing twist villains, man. I think they're just better at having this is our villain
yeah,
set up front from moment one and then running with that. Because you
and I
look
think
back, like Disney was
yeah, when you look
known
at
for
the
their villains, right?
yeah, and apparently, again, if I'm not sure if you know this because I don't think even Disney realized that they're releasing a new princess movie next week. I think it's next week. The point is, it's coming out soon, supposedly.
Hmm.
And from what I've heard, they are actually for the first time having a legit villain from the start. There's not gonna be a twist villain, supposedly. So, and I think that's the one thing that people are actually excited about with that movie. It's called Wish.
Yes, I've heard
So,
of it. Yeah.
I think Disney forgets that it's supposed to come out because what is marketing for that thing? There
I
is
mean,
none.
I remember hearing about it way back, and that was it. So yeah, like what? Wow, that's coming out now. Okay, nice to know,
Out as
Disney.
it's either coming out as it's either coming out next week from this recording or as we speak. I am not sure. It's somewhere in November.
I completely
So
forgot about that. Wow.
again, everyone does. Everyone does.
I think
Okay,
Disney does too.
like yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like actually, when my fiance and I went to see the new TMNT movie a few months ago, and there was a trailer for it before the movie, and we're like, "Oh yeah, that's coming out."
Huh. Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much.
So anywho, where was I with this? So I would say Hans. I didn't like it at first, but the more time I watch the movie, the more I get the point. It doesn't
Mm.
make it good, but I think it was better than other attempts which happened. And unless if people want to count Turbo from Wreck-It Ralph as a twist villain, which I personally don't, because it's a twist with the villain, not not the twist villain,
Mhm.
then yeah, Turbo is better. But in terms of the actual twist villains, Hans is probably the best one, which is not saying much.
Yeah, you're not remembering the Hans at all. You're not thinking about him at all.
Uh, maybe with the exception of a few times that they try to reference him in the future, and
Yeah,
oh boy,
but
we'll get there.
even their references, it's like, oh yeah, he's a thing. Okay.
Just wait until I tell you about Once Upon a Time, my friend. Oh boy,
Oh
we'll get
boy,
there.
I can't wait because I have not seen that show. Not gonna lie, don't want to watch that
Eh,
show. Not gonna
it's
lie.
okay. It's okay. It's okay. So anyway, just to kind of wrap up a question: are you Team Anna or Team Elsa?
I like them both.
Hmm. So no preference.
Not
You're
really,
going to
no. Like
okay.
I'm not huge into Frozen. I will admit, like I watched the first film. I was like, all right, that has some interesting stuff going on in it, and it's a fairly strong film. There's nothing wrong here. I will say, in terms of list of Disney films, top 10, I don't think it makes it there for me personally, but that's just me personally, you know.
In my top 10 personally, but
Oh,
that's
no, no,
another
that's
story.
absolutely fair. If it makes it in your top 10, if it's number one for you, absolutely fair. You love that film as much as you want, right,
Not
Mr.
number one. Like nothing
Audience
will ever
member,
dethrone.
viewer,
I
listener?
Yeah, I like I say it's in my top 10, but like I'm pretty sure that I know nothing is ever gonna dethrone Lion King for me. Lion King remains the king.
Fair. That's definitely number one for me as well. But again, like I've grown up with Disney for a long time. There's a lot of
Yeah,
Disney films to choose from and pick from for your top 10 Disney
like
films, right?
I think there are over 60 now. Like from the main animated canon, there
Yeah,
is. So you got your picks.
yeah. So if a newer one doesn't make it for you, that's okay. That's allowed.
With that said, if your favorite Disney movie is Raya and the Last Dragon, come see me after this podcast. Now I'm kidding.
Yo,
I'm
that's in
kidding.
my top 10.
I don't think you've even seen
I
a
have seen
saga.
it.
Oh,
It's eh.
it's
It
terrible.
it may not
It
be in my
it
top 10
it is
unless it's for a
terrible.
joke.
And like so I can't stand that.
There are things
It's
I wanted to like about it, but it makes it hard to like. But anyways, we're here about Frozen, a good film
yeah. So yeah,
series.
we're talking about good Disney movies. So
Mostly.
well, basically, I will say that well, I like Anna just fine, and I guess by proxy, I guess I'm more like Anna. I think I prefer. I'm Team Elsa personally. Like I really connected with her for the first movie, and just in general, I suppose. But
I
I
think at
thought she
times
was really interesting.
she's more of a character. She feels to me. She feels like.
Like I think just I bought into her conflict a lot more. Like the movie came out at a time where I did feel like I am out of my comfort zone with a lot of people, and that I needed to keep my interests for myself, and I wasn't really in a good. I didn't really have a good group of friends back then that I could be myself in. So yeah, I related to that. I
Mhm.
related to it hard.
Very
So
fair.
does that. Honestly, okay, before we move on, question.
Hmm.
You do know that this was supposed, again, this is in massive quotes here, but this is inspired by the Snow Queen story. And there were versions of this movie, like they apparently they tried to make it for years, even when Walt Disney was alive. So and there are drafts and there are versions. If you look at the Blu-ray, there's even some deleted scenes which show Elsa as the villain, and then Let It Go was supposed to be her villain son, and then when they had Let It Go, they're like, well, shit, we now need to rewrite the entire script because this is not a villain. This is a person that's really misunderstood, and that's how she became kind of an anti-hero.
Hmm.
Would you want to see? Do you think the movie works as it is, or would you like to see that evil Elsa version of the movie?
I think it works okay as it is. Again, like you can tell Hans and his twist feels very kind of afterthoughty, and that might be because the film changed up with Elsa and everything.
Could be.
I would definitely be interested though to see Elsa as the villain, but there's nothing wrong with her being the villain in my opinion. You could easily do a redemption story there. It wouldn't be that hard. I
Yeah.
know people are like, "Oh, redeeming the villain," blah, but at the same
Because
time, there's nothing wrong with doing that. We can do that as long as you do it
no,
well. Who
because
cares?
the interesting thing
Now,
here is
would
that
it have been
again,
as popular? I have no clue.
no, I would probably
I
say no.
I don't know.
Like maybe
I want
yes.
to think yes because I feel like you could really focus in on Anna and Elsa's relationship if they're still
Yeah,
sisters
it
and Elsa's the villain, right?
it it could work. I guess it's one of those things that could work.
I feel like the
Maybe.
second film would have helped from that as well potentially.
Well, that's the thing, though. If
Again, I have
well, the thing that I would say, I would have liked to at least see the storyboards for what that version would have looked like, because let's say because very earlier drafts began with Anna and Elsa not even being sisters. That's an element that came later in the production
I
because they
don't think
realized.
that would have worked
Mhm.
personally. I think
Yeah, I think
making
the
them sisters
sisterhood is
was a good call.
yeah,
End
the
of.
sisterhood is really like because you could argue that the sisterhood is the heart of this franchise in
Agreed.
general. So,
Like
so
again, one of the what I think is the bigger twist from the first movie is like, oh, you can only be saved by true love, and it being Anna and Elsa, right? And that being the true love between them, because that familial love, that familial bond, right? I think that's
yeah,
one of the better
which
twists from
by the
Frozen, not
way,
Hans.
yeah, like in a completely embarrassing and pathetic move, the Maleficent movie ripped that off 1-1, and it was so fucking pathetic.
Yeah, like
So
you have to do it well, right? Like it's not something you can just kind of throw out there and it just works.
like it's not even necessarily like the family love that saves the day. They literally did like the fake out that it's supposed to be the prince, and then the prince kisses her and it doesn't work. But then when Maleficent, who is like very close to the princess in this version, kisses her on the forehead, there you go.
Yeah.
That's like it's 1-1 almost. It was pathetic.
Yeah,
it
that's
was
not
so
great.
it was so bad. Like, and people like that one for some fucking reason. But my grievances with Maleficent are for another podcast, which I think we did with the live action remakes.
We did, yes.
So I guess that's it for Frozen 1. Moving on. The next thing which happened afterwards was that they put the Frozen characters in Once Upon a Time. For the record,
I heard about this. I heard it
mm,
was something.
so here's the thing. I didn't watch Once Upon a Time besides this Frozen mini plot, and if you want to criticize me for not watching the entire show, that's completely fair. But in terms of what they did with the Frozen characters,
I've
and for the
heard
record, you can blame me for not watching the show beforehand because the point of bringing the Frozen characters in was to attract new audiences. You can't tell me that's the reason they didn't put them there.
no
They
fair.
wanted more views for, and if you're expecting me to catch, and for the record, maybe fair on my end, and I
And
should
that
have
was
watched
like
the
around
other show.
season 4, right? So you had to catch up
Yeah,
on
season four.
3 full seasons
Yeah.
in order to watch that.
So like again,
That's a
maybe it
commitment.
is yeah, so one, commitment, and two, I'm sorry I don't have the time, but I want to see what they would do with Anna and Elsa and Kristoff and the other guys. So I tried watching that subplot and like that plot and like less. That's the. It frustrates me because I would say that the point A and point B of the Frozen plot in that show is kind of decent. It's everything between point A and B that's shit. But but okay. We talked about the fact that it's based on the Snow Queen, so Elsa is technically the Snow Queen, but she's not a villain. So in Once Upon a Time, we actually find out that the villain Snow Queen is actually in the Frozen universe, and that she's Anna and Elsa's aunt.
Hmm.
So you see, on basis, not a bad idea, not at all. The problem starts when it comes. Okay, so she's their aunt. She had two sisters. One of them was Anna and Elsa's mother. She accidentally kills one of them because some guy who was engaged to that sister tried to hit on her, but she accidentally freezes the middle sister to death. Anna and Elsa's mother, without letting her explain the situation, traps her in an urn and asks for from the trolls to erase everyone's memory of her sister, of the two sisters. Years later, Hans knows about that urn and he wants to trap Elsa in it. Don't ask me how. Don't ask me why. I don't know. And and then when he opens it, he releases the Snow Queen, and she freezes him, and she's gonna tries to get into the family again. But Anna suspects her, and she makes Anna trap Elsa in that urn, and then the entire of Arendelle is frozen for some reason. And then the Snow Queen makes it to the city where Once Upon a Time takes place. Elsa gets there because of trailer, and then comes like this entire search for Anna and trying to stop the Snow Queen, who has powers of sheer convenience. Like she can neutralize Elsa's magic. Okay, she can use the Force. I'm not joking. She actually uses the fucking Force. She
Mm-hmm,
does the.
mm-hmm, as you do.
She actually pinches her fingers and people. That's the Force. and and then there's this thing where like Hans suddenly thaws out of the ice and becomes the ruler of Arendelle because he told everyone that Anna put Elsa in the urn, which counts as treason. And by happenstance, Anna and Kristoff make it to Storybrooke, where the rest of the show takes place, and they reunite and they manage to stop the Snow Queen by finding the letter that Anna and Elsa's mother wrote on the ship before they got shipwrecked in the first movie. So they found the letter that she wrote at this point, that she wants Anna and Elsa to free the Snow Queen and tell her that she loves her and that she's sorry. And then the Snow Queen sacrifices herself to reunite with her sisters in the world after. Anna and Elsa take over Arendelle, and Anna and Kristoff get married.
That was a lot.
If you, Trust me, I'm making it sound a lot simpler than it actually is.
I
This
mean, I
was
followed it, but I don't know how I followed it, and I don't know if I should have followed it because I don't know if that made sense, but I followed it.
Oh, it doesn't. Trust me, it fucking doesn't. It doesn't make sense. It's so lame. It's so stupid. Ugh. That like if you're a fan of Once Upon a Time, no offense.
I've heard
I
like the first
though
few seasons are good, but I've heard season 4 was just bad.
I heard other people say that this plotline wasn't all that good. So I think either way, I'm not missing that much. But like some of the stuff in that Frozen plot was just like there's a point where Elsa outright murders, where outright threatens to freeze the entire city to death. I'm not kidding. She literally says that.
Oh
Your
boy, Disney.
Yeah,
Just
yeah, like
Disney.
your daughter is gonna dress up as that character. Okay, not really. No. Speaking of dressing up, the costumes in that show are fucking ridiculous. Like, I've seen cosplayers do so much better. How come this show with an actual budget can do better than cosplay? You tell me.
Everything I've heard about season 4 of Once Upon a Time, right, for Frozen and everything really kind of feels like the higher ups are like, hey, we got to capitalize on this, put it in. And the
Yeah,
showrunners
and
just had to rush around, like, oh, God, how? And
yeah,
season 4 is what you got. Because it,
hmm
from again, everything I know, from what I've heard, I've not watched Once Upon a Time. It's not something that I've really dived into because it's not super interested me at all. Was that the first, I want to say the first 3 seasons were good to decent, is what I've been told. Maybe I'm wrong on
that's
that.
generally the idea that like the first three seasons were good and everything afterwards, which honestly seems to be most shows that go on for beyond season four, mostly.
Yeah, that tends to happen a lot. Again, though, I feel like not to disparage Frozen, I think season 4 could have been good if they hadn't have crammed in something that was all of a sudden like that, right? And had been
I'll
allowed
tell
to
you better.
build to it potentially.
And like I think even that the specific plot, with the Snow Queen being their aunt and stuff, that could have been interesting. That could have worked. It's just that they crammed in so much other bullshit, which was. I'm not sure if it's Disney put some limitations on the producers, and that's something we'll talk about, or if it was just that the writers were forced to kind of work with it and they
I mean,
didn't get the movie all the way. I don't know.
it's one
But
of those things of it's Disney. You can never discount something like that, right? Because Disney, they'll do stuff like that. But at the same
yeah,
time, it
and
could not be that.
especially
It could just be
and
that they didn't know how to work with it, and it just turned out bad.
we'll get to this, kind of jumping the gun. There is it's not a Frozen project necessarily, but okay, you know what? Let's just talk about it because it's not in Kingdom Hearts 3. There's this entire thing where, again, this is like a theory-ish, but there's a theory that like Nomura wanted to do a lot more with Frozen in Kingdom Hearts 3, but the thing is that because it became so popular, Disney has a lot of shackles on it. Disney restrains a lot of the stuff outside parties can do with Frozen,
Mm.
and I guess Once Upon a Time is no different in that regard. But with Kingdom Hearts, you can kind of get away with just redo the first movie and bring the original voice actors back
I mean, you can't
because
really get
that's
away with that with Kingdom Hearts either, though.
like
Like,
yeah, but the
there's
thing
a
is,
limit.
it's something that's part of the franchise up
No,
until
true,
that
true,
point
true.
is what I mean.
No, absolutely
Yeah, again, for the record, I will say that Arendelle was one of the weaker worlds in Kingdom Hearts 3. But then again, all the worlds
agreed.
which just follow the movie's plots were kind of weak. So
I mean, yeah,
part of the
Kingdom Hearts has
course,
always had that problem, right?
yeah.
But
Uh,
three
but again,
really had that problem.
yeah. But again, for all intents and purposes, the Once Upon a Time could have worked. I just don't think it had the right way to work, considering
Mm.
everything. And what if it's Disney's to blame, the showrunners to blame? I don't know, but it didn't turn out as good.
No, fair.
But at least the year after, we got Frozen Fever, which I
Which
would
was,
say it's a really fun short.
I mean, it's fine. 7 minutes. There's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah, like
It
it's
got a
seven
chuckle out
minutes.
of me with the little snow people, from Elsa's
I
Cold,
think, I
whatever they're
think
called.
the, I think their official name is Snugglies, but I'm not entirely sure.
Snugglies, of course. The one time it got a full chuckle out of me was when they're bringing them all to the castle with
The
the
castle.
frozen with the troll with the snow
Yeah,
troll
yeah. His name is Marshmallow
marshmallow.
officially.
Okay, I don't know these things. I don't
Yeah,
care.
and then and
You
yeah,
get the
that they
wolf
just bring
version,
all
the
of them
snow
there.
trolls, and the little snow
Yeah,
people.
yeah, and then they bring them all there, and then Christoph is just like, "Don't ask,"
No, I
and
love
that's where
that.
it
That was
starts.
great. That was probably the best joke of the film. I'm just looking like, what am I supposed to do with all of these?
Yeah, and but I
And I
just thought it
love
was
the joke in the second movie when they brought that back. That was also funny, but we'll get there.
yeah, in a post credit scene, but
Yeah.
yes. So, but another thing I like about Frozen Fever is just I love the premise of for the first time in forever, I didn't plan this. I swear, I just realized halfway through. So that finally Elsa can celebrate Anna's birthday with her, and she
Mm.
wants to make everything perfect for it. And you can see just how much of a perfectionist she actually is, to the point that it doesn't even stop her when she has a cold and she needs to take time for herself. But no, she pushes on. She does the best for her sister, and it's so wholesome and also hilarious. Where that she being Elsa being sick is basically her being drunk, and I personally I would pay a good amount to see Dina Menzel's recording session when she had to act like that.
Yeah, not fair. I agree.
Like, don't you want to see what the recording was like when she goes, "I'm fine," like like
Mm.
she's drugged off her head. That's beautiful. That must
No,
have
and
been
like she
hilarious.
she she does great there, right?
And then also just Anna taking care of her at the end, also very wholesome.
Mm.
It's a short. It does its job
Yeah.
really well. And
No.
also, like the one part that really got a chuckle out of me was when Elsa wants to blow the horn for the party, and then like she just ends up sending this huge ass snowball to the Northern Isles, which just happens to smack Hans into a hole spool.
Mhm.
I don't know why. That's like the fact that she has such good aim without even trying is amazing. Okay, now to the other short. Okay, actually, not. So there was another short which was with Lego.
I,
Don't ask me why they were Legos, but they were Legos.
I've
And
been, from what I understand, I've been told that this was a thing that's actually like lore wise useful to Frozen if you care about that or something.
I never heard about that. All I
Like
know
it
is that
actually has good story or something. I don't know.
like
I've not
all I'm gonna
watched,
all I'm gonna
but I
tell
just
you
looked
is
up some stuff.
all I know is that all I know about that is that I think it adapted a story from like one of those Frozen books that's been sold
Mm,
around. If it is, I don't know, but the thing is, I figured to give it a watch because it fascinated me. Why the hell do we need to make them Lego? Like, what's the point? And
because Lego was
really,
big at the time, man. The Lego
I
movies
guess,
and everything. Was that
but
around
like,
that time?
this was this short was lame though. This one, like all the voice cast is back, but you can tell that they're just here
Yeah, it was
for a
around that time.
paycheck. What did you say?
Yeah, the Lego movies were around that time and they were very big. So
I
around that
guess, but
2014,
it's
2017 time. I don't know when
but
exactly this came
the
out,
thing is
but
though that I don't even think it was done in the same animation style as those movies. It was
oh,
just
well then that's just bad.
yeah.
Fuck you,
Again,
Disney.
the voice cast, I love them and everything, but it sounds like they were really just there for a paycheck.
If you're gonna
Nobody
do
really
Lego,
cared.
do it fucking right.
And but also like there's this thing that like it seems that at every point Elsa is about to break into singing Let It Go, but either she's not feeling it or something else happens off screen which stops her or the fucking credits roll. They really push that joke beyond comfortable moments, and there's a point. I'm not joking. There's literally a point in that short where I don't know what Christoph says, but then Elsa just goes on. But Christoph, you know that the cold never bothered me anyway, and she literally turns to the camera and goes, "Get it?"
That's bad.
Yeah,
That's
that was
bad.
that was awful. I like
That's bad.
no offense to the people who made this short or something, but
That's
this
how
was
you
Disney wants.
ruin your franchise right there. That's
No,
bad.
this was Disney really wanted money. Disney really wanted the money. So anyway,
Disney,
after
we're poor, please. We
yeah, they're
need
really
it.
poor. Yeah, we ran out of extra cash to wipe our tears away because all of the movies we released now are flops because we don't advertise them. Give us some money, please.
Please.
So anyway,
Mickey's homeless.
next
He
comes.
needs a new home.
Oh my god. So Olaf's Frozen Adventure. Oh boy, the hate this one got. You know the story about this one?
No, I didn't know it got hate.
Okay,
I know it's a
so Olaf.
longer short at around like 20
It,
minutes, but
yeah,
and I
so it's
guess
supposed to
I've seen
be.
a little bit of it, but I didn't know it got
It's a
hate.
so it technically is 20 something minutes, and it was supposed to be like an ABC special for Christmas. That's what all it was supposed to be. But then someone at Disney decided, you know what? Let's release it in theaters right before Coco, the new Pixar movie at the time. Like, Frozen Fever being released before the Cinderella remake, fine, that's 7 minutes. 7 minutes, you're done, here's the full movie. A lot of Disney and Pixar movies do that.
Hmm.
But 24 minutes in a theater before the full movie,
Oh, I see why I got hate now. Yeah.
apparently there were some people who even thought they went into the wrong movie by mistake.
I can understand why it got hate now if that's the case.
Yeah, but and the thing is
Because that's
though,
a That's a lot of time to sit before you get to watch the movie you went there to see.
Yeah, actually, where I live, not only did they only screen that short before, with the dubbed version of Coco, if you went to see the original English version, you didn't have the short. It was only for the dubbed version. And
Probably a good decision.
but also on the poster they had a little note that this short exists because apparently they already heard the backfire about it. And yeah, Disney eventually took it out from Coco. Like I think like after a week or two you couldn't see it. And honestly, I think it really did a disservice to the short because now people just look at it. Oh wow, it's terrible. Oh wow, it was such a piece of shit. Oh wow, it was so bad. I don't think it was that awful. I think it's perfectly serviceable. Like
I
people
didn't,
already
from
kind
what
of
I've
see
seen,
from
I didn't think it was bad. Like,
yeah. Like
again, I'm
I
not the
think
biggest fan of Olaf, but it was fine.
no, that's the thing. It's called Olaf's Frozen Adventure because he's the one that actually goes through the adventure, but it's not really focusing. Like he's the focus, but it's not just him. Like honestly, there are a lot of good scenes with just Anna and Elsa, honestly,
Mm.
and even the Olaf stuff is like it's pretty. It's harmless. It's a really again, if it just aired on TV like it was supposed to, no one would have hated this special as much as they did, but Disney decided to screen it in theaters before another movie, and that's what you got. But now that you don't necessarily have, if you're gonna see it now, you can see it at the comfort of your own home without it basically blocking you from the full movie that you're about to see.
Mm.
I think it's a really good Christmas special. I
That's fair.
wouldn't even be so surprised if people put it on every Christmas. I know that Frozen itself actually kind of became a Christmas movie to some people.
I mean, no, that's fair too. That's when we watched it as a family at my
Yeah,
place.
so because it's
It was Christmas.
there's with all the with all the snow and the colors and stuff, it gives you that Christmas vibe, I guess.
No, fair. It can definitely fill in that role, especially if you have, and we've always done the like, hey, let's put on the Christmas movies in the background, Rudolph, Frosty the Snowman, all that old shit is great.
Hmm.
And this just got added onto the list at that time.
Hmm.
And it's like, let's give it a shot. Maybe new Christmas movie we can watch from time to time during
Yeah.
Christmas.
And
I was
yeah,
fine for that.
there's even actually a bit of a Hanukkah note in Alice Was an Adventure. So thank
Hmm.
you.
Cool.
So but basically, yeah, Alice Was an Adventure. I get why people were so angry at it, but at the same time, I think it was overblown. Once you look at the show
Yeah.
itself, it's really not that bad, guys.
No, I think that's fair. I think it was just Disney bad marketing choice does a disservice to the thing, and like it definitely shouldn't have
Hmm.
been put before Coco
No,
ever.
it shouldn't have been put in front of a big movie in theaters.
Yeah,
It should have aired on TV as it was supposed to be, and nobody would have betted an eye.
no, probably not. They would have watched it and moved on, or maybe you would have had some people who still disliked it, but eh. I agree. I think if they would have just done what they had originally planned to do, it would have been perfectly fine.
Yes.
But because Frozen's
Well,
huge, everyone will love this. It'll drive more people to go see Coco. People's not going to see Coco because Frozen Disney. I'm sorry.
yeah. I can tell you that let's say Nutman's World, Coco made a lot of money, and for like Coco is really freaking.
Yeah,
Okay, I love Coco,
agreed.
but like I didn't go to see it just because of the Frozen shot. I went to see it because I wanted to see Coco.
Mm-hmm. Fair.
So, with all that said, I think, like we talked about Kingdom Hearts, there's really not. I don't think there's much of a point to talk about the princess scenes in Ralph Breaks the Internet. It's nothing. So, Frozen 2, ahoy! Now, I have to ask the road to Frozen 2. I
I've
didn't
not
really
seen it,
think.
but I've heard of it. I've
No,
heard that.
no. What do you mean?
What? Go ahead. Oh, you're no,
No,
never
like
mind. I'm talking about something else. Ignore me.
if you're talking about, oh, we
I'm
were
talking about
gonna
the
talk about it.
docuseries. Ignore me.
Oh,
I thought that's
we
what you
are
were talking
gonna
about.
we'll mention that. We'll mention that. We'll mention that. I'm gonna at least briefly. I sadly didn't manage to rewatch that before we did the podcast, but I do remember the main issues, like the main things I want to bring up on
Mhm.
but when Frozen 2 was announced, I was like, really? I didn't really see the point of a sequel, but then again, I haven't really
Fair.
seen the point of a lot of sequels, and they
I
ended up
mean,
winning me over.
hey,
So,
third and actually recently it kind of works for this
yeah,
podcast.
we'll get there. We'll get to that. We'll get to that because I have something. I think like yeah, they for the record, they just announced that not we
This
knew that.
week, in fact.
Yeah, we knew that the Frozen 3 was happening, but just a few days ago, they announced that there's a Frozen 4 being made alongside. So they are most likely going to be like a double production. But again, we'll get there. When it comes to Frozen 2's announcement, I was like, oh, but what can you really do with it? You kind of close everything up, but I'm like, maybe I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. Let's see what's gonna happen. And then the trailer came out. You remember the trailer? You remember that? You remember when the trailer came out and everyone was shocked by what the hell was that?
I do.
And I even remember some friends of mine told me, "No, I think they're catfishing us. There's no way they're gonna up the tone that much." And I don't think it was a catfish, but I just remember it was so fascinating to see them go that far in like this grand epic direction, I guess you could say.
Hmm.
And I even remember there was a comment where like Tetsuya Nomura, the creator of Kingdom Hearts, was like, Disney sabotaged my vision for Frozen and Kingdom Hearts. I'll switch their scripts around. Nobody will notice. So whoever made that comment, I salute you because
I
that's
mean,
fucking hilarious.
it feels like a thing he would genuinely do too, though. No more of the crazy bastard. That's
Yeah,
why we love
well,
him.
love is a strong word. Okay, anyway, so the road to Frozen 2 was really interesting when that trailer suddenly hit. It's like, whoa, what are you planning here? What do you have in mind? I am not sure if I'm necessarily going to like it, but I'm interested. I'm listening, Disney. I'm listening. And then the movie came out, and I that's another interesting thing that it seems that people who don't like the first movie love the second one, but people who did love the second one, the first one, don't really like the second one. There are people who do who are in both camps. Like either they don't like either of them or they like both of them fine. But I noticed that there was this dichotomy that people who didn't like the first one like the second, but people who like the first are kind of iffy about the second. Personally, I really enjoy Frozen 2, but I think the first one was a better overall movie, while 2 just has better scenes.
I would agree with that. I'm definitely. I think I fall into the camp that prefers the first movie over the second one. And I had brought it up before. I felt like the second one. I feel like the second one focuses too much on the songs. It feels like there's too many, but I've looked it up. There's more songs than the first one, and not only that, right? Looking it up, people have gone through this already. The time between songs is less in the
Yeah,
first one than it is in the second one.
I was
I
about to
don't know
say that.
why it feels the exact opposite though. I don't know why it does, but having watched the second movie, it feels like there's less time between the the songs in the second movie than there is in the first. But that's not true according
That is
to people on the
interesting.
internet.
Yeah, that's so interesting that you say that because I
This could be wrong.
really.
I could be super false information. I've been lied to, but as far as I can
Oh,
tell, this seems to be
because on top of my
correct.
head, yeah, on top of my head, I remember there were more songs in the first movie, and also the time between them was way shorter in the first one compared to the second one. Spaces them out a lot more.
But to me,
So
it feels the opposite though. Maybe maybe like rose tinted goggles perhaps for Frozen because it's 10 years old.
hmm,
But it felt
maybe
like watching the second one, it felt like the songs were just boom, boom, boom for some of them at times, where it's just one after the other, right? And it felt like there was very little time for the characters to just breathe. But that's also kind of a complaint I have with Frozen as a series in general. Maybe again, old man talks about how things were better back in the day, but I do like it, right? Even when the Disney musicals do, I know they're supposed to be musicals, right? But I do still like it when they give the characters time to just breathe in a scene, right? Where it doesn't just break out into
Yeah,
song instantly. You know, I
that's why
think
I
back on stuff like
say
Aladdin and things like that, right? Not just Lion King, but
yeah, that's why I say that Frozen in general feels a lot more Broadway-ish,
mm,
and yeah, most of the cast has been in Broadway. That's an
also true.
no-brainer. But it's also because it feels like the song again, not to necessarily discredit other Disney musicals for this, right? But not but like let's say in Lion King there are like five songs, in Aladdin there are five. I want to say Little Mermaid, but for most of them, some of them do move the plot along, but a lot of them are just kind of songs because it's a musical and we need songs. And again, not to discredit them, these are classics. I'm not saying that they're bad,
Yeah, sure.
but I think Frozen has more songs in because it does approach it from the Broadway perspective of a song needs to move the plot along,
Hmm.
and they're using them as a device to move this plot along and
And I
to
feel like
make the story.
for
And if you don't like it, that's
yeah,
perfectly
that's
fair.
definitely
It's
going
a
to be
genre.
something that you're either all right, I'm into that, or you're not, right? And I would definitely say I fall into the camp of I'm not fully into that. I'm okay with it, but it's not really something I'm looking for from a movie, I would say, right?
Mhm.
From a movie, I kind of expect those. And again, maybe it's because I'm just coming from the nostalgia and, old man talks about how it was better in the past. But I do I again I enjoyed the moments in older Disney films where they were given the chance to just be characters in the film and you could watch those scenes in those moments. And I look at Frozen and it doesn't there's less of that and it doesn't like, you know, work with me as well. It isn't something that I enjoy as much. Nothing wrong with it. If you do enjoy it, that's great. Go love it. Go enjoy it. Just a me personal thing, right?
Mhm. That's actually something to ask you. Would you say that the songs are better in one or two? Because me personally, I think I could kind of take and leave. There are songs I prefer in two over one, and there are songs that I prefer in one over two.
I would definitely say the same thing, but it does seem like, in a general sense, at the very least, that
Hmm.
the songs in the first film especially one, got a way more popular than they did in the second one. Now, I don't want to say
And
they were chasing that popularity again. I don't think that's what they were doing, but it definitely, like, I don't know what happened there. It's like they just didn't hit that same note for whatever reason.
I
I don't
think
know.
part of it is
It's really
because
odd.
because I think people were also just not ready for the first one. It came out of nowhere in that
True.
sense, and for the second one, it sounded like well, you we
I will
know.
say Into the
Mhm,
Unknown, I think, is definitely a good one from the second film.
mhm. Well, it's a good song, but I think like that's the thing that I'm not sure if you agree with me on this, but I prefer Let It Go to Into the Unknown, but
Yeah,
I prefer Show Yourself is the best from the three.
that's fair. I think for me, looking at it from just like the perspective of whether I like it or not, from the perspective of what song furthers the plot along better and works better when it's introduced. I think Let It Go just works way better when it's introduced and really gets across the character very well. Into the
Mhm.
Unknown, when it first pops up in the second film, pops up at what feels like a bit of an odd time and doesn't quite work as well, I think. And
Mhm.
again, even though I'm completely wrong about this and it felt this way, but it's not true at all, I feel like the songs that you get before Into the Unknown feel like there's so many and they're hitting so fast that Into the Unknown
Really.
doesn't feel as special. It doesn't feel
Into
as
the
big.
Unknown is like song number three,
It's
and
four, actually.
No, wait, because the first one is the lullaby. When the
All
note
is
ring.
found, some things never
Oh, that's fun.
change, and then oh no, it's
Yeah,
three. Yeah, it's the third one. I'm wrong. And
yeah.
then the first
So
one
like,
has four. But yeah, and
mhm.
again, that's my point though. It's not true, but it feels that way, and I don't know why it feels that way. I don't understand.
uh,
I don't
that
get it.
is
I don't have
really
an
interesting.
answer for you.
Yeah, I don't have a counterpoint or anything because
I have
I
no
don't
I
know.
have no reason why I don't know. I have no clue, but it just feels like it doesn't feel as good because I don't know. I don't know. I think I know what it is, right? Looking at it, because I actually found something here. Someone has actually timed it out between the amount of time between songs in the first movie and the second movie. Into the Unknown, like the time between All Is Found and Some Things Never Change is about a minute 19. Again, I don't know if this is fully factual. This is just people on the internet having timed it. This looks to be like the general consensus, though. And then Some Things Never Change and Into the Unknown, the time between is 4 minutes. Whereas the time between the song that comes before Let It Go and then Let It Go itself is 5 minutes. And the song between, and then the songs that happen before that, before those two songs, is about 6 minutes. There's a wider gap. And I think that might be the reason. Because once you get past those first three songs in Frozen 2, the gaps widen considerably between the later songs, right?
Mhm.
And I think that's why Show Yourself is also feels really good. And I would say, and I would agree with you that Show Yourself is a good song and an overall better song than both of them
Mm,
because there's a
yes.
wide enough gap. And Show Yourself is
The Again,
really
to
well
bring up the
placed for where it's at.
documentary, apparently this is the song that took them the longest to actually get down right because apparently for the longest time they didn't even know who the voice calling Elsa was.
Mm.
So that's something for you. But anyway, that was about the songs. Let's talk Frozen 2 in terms of the actual plot of the movie.
I
I Okay, you did say that there's a change in focus in the second. You don't, so I guess you don't like the fact that the Frozen 2 focuses more on Elsa than Anna.
I think for me it's less that it focuses more on one or the other and that it's a focus that it shifts its focus away from them together, right? And it felt like that was the big thing for the first movie and then we're switching away from that. I get and understand why we're switching away from it, but I'm not sure as a sequel if that fully works,
Mhm.
right?
Okay,
I don't know,
I,
that's just my
I
opinion.
yeah,
Like, it didn't work for me at least anyways.
okay, that's fair. I personally, I again, when I say overall, I think that when you look at the entirety of the movie together, like as a full movie, yeah, some things are a bit clunky in terms of how they mix together. Because, like, let's say, speaking of just the song, Christoph has probably one of the best songs in any Disney movie, and then
Fair.
we just forget it, and then we just forget about him until the climax.
True also. It's kind of like why is he here? Same with Olaf getting his song. Why is that here? But okay.
Like all of plot, like that he's trying to be and that he's trying to grow up, but like knowing, thinking that when he grows up, he'll just know everything and everything will have answers. I like that
Yeah, no,
idea.
I
I like that it has some good jokes around it,
well,
and
I
like
mean
the song itself is also funny.
even
But
beyond
like
that, it's
in
a
terms of the
good it's kind of a good message to it's not it's actually I take that back. It's a bad message to send to kids, but I get why it's in a kids film, right? When you're
no,
young,
but
you do feel
actually
that way. It
no, like
works.
that's the thing though that since Olaf is supposed to be like with that kid mindset, it might be actually good to show that that because kids will probably think that, oh, when I'm an adult things will just turn out, I'll know everything, but it's like, no, things are not that clear all the time.
Listen, as an
So,
adult, we don't know what the fuck we're doing. We just kind of
no,
guess.
no.
We
And
scramble in the
I
dark
am
and
willing
figure it
to
out.
bet I am willing to bet that's the whole reason this this plot line and this song exists, because holy shit.
Listen, If there's an adult out there, listen, young kids who watch us, if you're out there, if there's an adult out there who ever tells you we know what we're doing, we got it, they're lying to you. Parents right now
Most of
closing their kids' ears. Don't listen to this person. He don't know what he's
yeah,
talking about. We have it handled. You don't.
yeah,
Quit
like
lying to your
there,
kid.
there are some people I would trust with certain things, but yeah, sometimes. So anyway, so like okay, I guess that kind of connects to the theme of change that they're trying to bring up in this movie, and but again, the core of the movie, which the core of the franchise, which is the sisters. I like the fact that to some extent I kind of don't that Elsa is still keeping secrets
Mm.
when she hears that voice. And but to be fair, the movie doesn't drag on this too much, and
No, it moves on from it fairly quick, so it's not a
yeah,
big thing.
and Anna does call her out, but and there are some things like they have this really good argument of like, don't follow me into fire. Well, maybe don't run into fire.
Mm.
And on the one hand, you could say Elsa has a point because she has her powers, she can defend herself. Anna has a point because you can't expect me to see you running into danger and I won't try to help. And I think this is just a, but I think it's kind of a good, and I think it builds up well to the end where they continue to work together and to help each other, but they have to do this in separate ways, like in different fronts. And so this is something I like, that being together and with each other doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be physically near each other all the time.
Mm.
You can also each one can also do their own thing, and together, like the bigger picture is being sold.
No,
I like
that's
that.
fair. Yeah, I agree. Like again,
Now,
it's
w-
not something that again, like when I say I'm not super fond of the Switch, that's just a me personal thing. I still think what the second movie does is a good message to send, and a good and I do like the themes of it. That being
yeah.
like the whole idea of change and moving forward and finding something new, and places where you belong and fit in, and that change isn't a bad thing, and we should adapt to that, and you can adapt to it, and all that sort of stuff, right? I do like it.
Which I think it's also nicely foreshadows with the "Some Things Never Change" song. I think
Hmm.
it's a good way to, like, yeah, some things never change, but when they do change, you can adapt.
Absolutely fair.
And in general, also like the animation is really good. I like I really like, again, in some of the in terms of the songs which move along the plot. I think the second movie does it a bit better in terms of moving the plot along than the first one to some degree, because, like,
Mhm.
Show Yourself and The Next Right Thing, those are two songs that really move the story along very
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
And especially with that, I think, and it's also interesting that the only song in the movie that Anna sings on her own, like her big number, is actually in contrast to what you'd expect of her, because she's supposed to be the chipper, optimistic one, and she gets the song about honestly recovering from depression, which is
I think
again really good.
no, no, absolutely. I think Next Right Thing is another one of like the really good songs from this movie, right?
Yeah.
Like Show Yourself and The Next Right Thing are probably the two big ones from Frozen 2 that I would say are like these are good songs.
And then again, they're also kind of, and I think the only reason both of them weren't nominated is because they are spoilery songs, and you can't really market such spoilers. So,
That and they're probably very tied to the films, and I don't know
mhm.
if they nominate like I think the way they do the nomination right is it standalone ish? I don't know. I don't know how they do it. I don't really care
Well,
how they do it.
because
It's wrong.
I'm not sure. No, I think I'm willing to bet that the main reason they chose Into the Unknown is because, like, it's first act,
Mm.
and I think, and also Disney advertised that as the one to get the nominations and stuff. Not
I mean,
again, I like Into the Unknown
listen,
just
this
fine,
is
and
this is
it's
why we ignore Disney. They're wrong. They don't get it.
yeah, yeah, to
Show
some degree
Yourself
they
should have
don't,
been the
but
one they should have chosen, my opinion, or The Next Right Thing. One of those two. Show Yourself probably would have been the better one, but I get it. you
Also,
know.
speaking of show yourself, I just want to say that Elsa's like spirit design is so freaking good.
No, fair.
I don't know. There's some the design looks really damn good. So, and other than that, I'm trying to think anything else about. Actually, let's talk about this. Let me guess. When you heard air, earth, water, and fire, what was the first thing that came
I
into your
mean,
mind?
obviously Avatar. What else am I gonna fucking think about? We're doing Avatar. Okay.
So let me tell you, like the first time I saw the movie in a theater, I heard a girl telling her friend in the same line, Avatar, and then by happenstance I happened to see the movie again with a few friends in the UK, and suddenly this happens, and one of my friends goes, Avatar,
Yep.
and just literally a day before recording, I showed it to another friend who actually doesn't like Frozen, the first one, and she didn't say Avatar, but she did say that everything changed when the Fire Nation attacked.
So Avatar.
So
She said Avatar.
yeah,
She
yeah,
said the same thing. She said it with,
I know
she meme
that's
referenced it, but she still said it.
that's the joke, Wolf.
You can't
That's the
like
joke.
slight side tangent, but you have to give Avatar: The Last Airbender credit. I don't think you can ever say air, earth, water, and fire ever again without
Yeah, no,
people
you
thinking about Avatar. There's just you
yeah.
can't now.
Again, for the record, I say that the only way to enjoy Raya and the Last Dragon is if you treat it as an Avatar: The Last Airbender crack thing. That's basically what it
I
is.
mean, fair, but yeah, like slight side nod to Nickelodeon has nailed that one, and that is going to be in like our minds forever now. I don't
Hmm.
think we can ever get away from it.
No, we can't, and we probably shouldn't
I mean,
because
fair.
that's coming back soon, and there are
Yeah,
a lot of projects for that universe in the
live
works. But
action. Let's go.
not just that, but we'll
But
talk
just
about
that though.
Avatar. We'll talk about Avatar in
True,
at
true.
another time.
Slight tangent. Got done now. Back to Frozen, which is also Avatar now, so it's all right. It's all good.
Yeah. So back to Frozen 2. What do you think about the idea that Elsa is the fifth spirit? Because one of my friends hates the movie on that principle alone.
I think it's fine. There's nothing to me. It doesn't feel like there's anything wrong with it. It doesn't feel like it's out of nowhere or a cop out. It's I feel like
It,
I had it figured out that she was going to be the fifth spirit long before the movie ever introduced the idea. When the movie introduced the idea, I was kind of like, okay, yeah, I kind of figured this already. This isn't surprising to me. If it's supposed to be surprising, I'm not surprised. It's just like I don't know. It
well,
makes sense.
to
Whether it
me,
does or not, I'm just kind of like, eh.
I like the idea because, and I feel, when it was her mother that was calling her all along. It
Mhm,
feels, again, it also feels satisfying. When in the first movie she was afraid of her powers to the point that, and when people call her monster, and to show that her powers yeah, actually means a lot more to her.
mhm,
It means that she's like a much more than just a monster. She's a spirit that the people of the forest actually admire and look up to. I thought it was a really cool way to develop her and bring her to a different place. And I also like the idea that in a way she's now in the forest and Anna takes over as queen. I like that part a lot. I Again, overall, I think the resolution to the characters is really good, but now is the point where I bring up the documentary for a second.
mhm.
So, according to test screenings, show that adults really like the movie, but kids found it hard to follow and digest.
I That's
And
fair. I can kind of see why.
then, so now what we see is an alternate version because apparently in the older versions, the Arendelle was supposed to go bye bye. That wave at the
Which
end was supposed to destroy Arendelle.
would have made more sense in my opinion. It's kind of
So
odd that they're just like, eh, we're all cool now. Arendelle doesn't go bye bye. All that water just kind of It just does all that water. It just does.
So
Don't
here's the
ask
thing, and
why.
yeah, so people do think Arendelle should have been destroyed because then there wouldn't need be that anticlimax. But I think you know what, I'm glad that they didn't go with the Arendelle being destroyed thing, because if Arendelle were destroyed, it would have ruined the idea of of Anna and Elsa, cooperating to take charge of different fronts,
I
and
I'll
like
disagree with you on that. I think they
mhm,
still could have done it. It's just, Anna
they
goes back to help rebuild. It changes the overall theme to Anna going back to helping rebuild and Elsa, maintaining the forest and the magic and the spirits and blah 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 and using that to maybe help Arendelle rebuild, right? It's just now they can't
so
rebuild where they were because that's underwater. So we go up higher. We build higher.
yeah, so I guess, but also I feel like saving Arendelle isn't my issue. My issue is that okay, if you're gonna change it so that Arendelle doesn't go away, at least make it a bit more interesting than just big 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 frosty thing that stops the
But
wave. There
also
you go, done.
But also, it just brings up the question now of where was Arendelle before then? If because the dam wasn't there until they went to the forest and built the dam. So where was Arendelle before then?
Yeah,
Now I have
I
that
guess.
question. What?
Yeah, that is actually something. Maybe they foresaw a flood or something. I don't know. That's actually something that's not explained.
I
You
know it's
have a
not
really good point.
because no one thought about it.
No, but actually, if we talk about that, explain to me how in the hell Anna and Elsa's mother is has dark skin when she's young, but is pretty freaking pale when she's an adult.
It's all that snow.
Yeah, it's all the snow.
It's all the snow.
Sure, sure. Giving birth to Elsa change her skin color. Sure, that's what it is. So, but again, this is just a I. So overall, I'm trying to think if there's anything else to say about Frozen 2. I just overall, whichever one you prefer, I think both of them are good movies in their
Yeah,
own
no, I agree
way.
with that.
It's again, I think the first one is a bit more tight when it comes to the overall plot, and the second one is a bit of a mess, but it has better moments.
I would agree with that.
And but overall, I think I overall prefer the second one just a bit more. That's just me.
I think I would still personally stick with the first one, but if you like the second one more, I can understand why, even though I personally don't, right? So it's completely
Well,
fair.
so we went over everything with the Frozen name on it. So, like we said, they announced the third movie like a
And
year
then
ago, and now
this week
and
they
now the,
announced a
and
fourth
just a
movie.
week ago they announced the fourth one. So first thing,
Yeah.
we don't. So one thing for this is I can't really say it's rare now because they've, but I should say at the time, not counting feature releases, there are only three sequels in the Disney animated canon, and which by that I mean direct-to-video movies don't count.
Yeah.
Like all of those direct-to-video stuff that you've seen throughout the 2000s, not a thing.
Even though some of them are good, they don't
Yeah,
count as sequels according to
they
Disney themselves. We
like
should be clear.
it's not the Disney animation canon. It's done by a different studio. It's not done by the main studio.
Yeah, that's how
That's what
I
we
think that's how Disney sees it as well, right?
Yeah, like some of them were released in theaters, but it's still not the Disney Animation Studios. It's called the Disney Toon Studio. It's
Yeah.
still the same studio
Yeah.
that would do the TV shows and all that stuff. So that's a different entity within Disney.
Yep.
So now, so when it comes to like to the main Disney canon, there are three sequels, which is The Rescuers Down Under, Ralph Breaks the Internet, and Frozen 2. So
And now
I
we're
am not
getting I think so yeah, so this is Disney's first foray into a film with
three quals
three, yeah, a
basically.
threequel and a fourquel,
Yeah, I think, and
whatever
on
you
that
call
note,
the
I
fourth
don't.
film.
Even the direct to
Stupid.
video ones never reached
I'm
four,
tired.
as I think anyway. I don't think there was anything four. There was just a lot of twos
Yeah.
and a
Yeah.
few threes.
Disney's mostly done, again, not counting directed video, directed DVD, whatever you want to call it, mostly has done sequels and that's it. Nothing more than that.
Yeah. And what's interesting here is that, okay, you know what? They announced three, and then suddenly they say that four is being developed alongside three. But if they're doing that, I have a feeling that not necessarily that it's going to be on the same scale or something, but I have a feeling it's probably going to be like the Avengers Infinity War, Avengers Endgame kind of thing that you can say, what, Infinity War is three, Endgame is four, but that also brings the question: do you think the ideas they kind of took note that Frozen 2 might have been too bloated and they decided to split the movie because of all the
Possible.
ideas they had?
It's possible.
And if so, it is interesting to see, a Disney fairy tale that was apparently so big they had to split it up. I'm not sure if this is what's gonna happen, but I'm saying if it's happening at the same time, it's not that out of the realm of possibility.
I mean, we've seen other film franchises do this and do it well. Avengers has done it. Into the Spider Verse, right?
Into the Spider Verse to a degree, yeah, they just this year. There you
Yeah,
go.
that's a film
I
that has been split up, and we're not getting the and like because it was so big. Which I mean, the first one was really good, so it can be done, and it can be done well. Is Frozen the thing that's going to do it well? I don't know, because
Now here's the point.
yeah,
Here's the
like
point where I just want to bring up that there's something really interesting to bring up here. That around the year before Frozen 2 came out, Jennifer Lee, who was the writer and co-director of both movies, basically can't really do that anymore. And I think it's confirmed that at least for three, she's not back
mm,
because she's now running the entirety of Disney Animation. So she'll obviously still be involved when it comes to, studio notes and to see the everyday walking of it and guiding it to the finish line. But it's still, you're taking away one of the directors, you're taking away the writer who created
mm,
these characters to some degree. Like,
mhm.
is Chris Buck, the her co-director, gonna step down as well? Are we talking about an entirely new crew that's in charge now?
I mean, should we
That's
talk about an entirely new cast? Because
No, it's not gonna be a new cast because Josh Gadden, at least I saw Josh Gadden and Idina Menzel confirmed that they are
I
coming.
don't like that though. I feel like doing this, it should be a new cast. Man, I again, right? We live in a
And
world
that's another
post
thing.
Puss in Boots 2, right?
Yeah.
We can't deny that, saying that this is a sequel no one wants and no one's gonna love.
Hmm.
We live in a world of Puss in Boots 2 now. Who the fuck knows
Yeah.
anymore? No one wanted that. No one needed that. No one asked for
Yeah.
that.
Nobody.
And yet,
Yeah. That talk about a movie that like had every reason in the world to fail, and it succeeded against all odds.
because it's
So
so good, right? Frozen could
yeah.
do that too. I don't want to, the third and fourth Frozen films could absolutely do that as well. I don't want to say they can't. But at the same time, I do feel like Anna and Elsa's story is done. I don't
and
really want or
and
need
that's
anything else from that
and
anymore.
that's the next thing that's interesting, because when Frozen 2 came out, Jennifer Lee and Chris Buck basically said that to them the story is finished with Frozen 2.
Which is fair.
So yeah, which is very fair. Like if you told me that there was nothing else, I would say fair. There's nothing else to tell.
I will.
Like because I would even say for the first one, but you could make the argument, and that's kind of what launched Frozen 2 forward. That they're like, well, one of the things that we didn't really explain was Elsa's powers, and Frozen 2 kind of answered that. But with that out of the way, what more is there to really say? And
Mhm.
who knows? Maybe the older cast is coming back, but it's not. But it might be like a passing of the torch in some way.
I mean, it could be that.
Maybe.
I will say, right, I do think the world of Frozen is an easy thing that you can expand on and do more with. I think there's more that you can do within this world. I just don't think. I feel like Anna and Elsa are, to me, that story feels done. Those characters feel done. I don't need more from them. If you show them, like, like you said, passing the torch, or if they pop up, that's fine. But I would be more interested in seeing you move forward in this world with a brand new cast doing different things, right? And seeing where that goes instead, and seeing what you can do with that if you're bringing this back. Personally, that's
So
my opinion. Again,
yeah,
they could come out and it's Anna and Elsa as the stars again, and it blows me away. And I'm like, all right, never mind. I was wrong. You Puss in Boots tooted. Fair enough.
yeah.
What the
To
fuck do
think that
I know
we
anymore?
now, yeah, to think that we now have a name for this phenomenon. We call whenever a sequel succeeds beyond all expectations, even though nobody really wanted it. We call it the Puss in Boots 2.
It
So
works. People know
yeah,
what you mean.
by all means it works, and I'm happy that we can say that because I can tell you I was so skeptic about that movie because why? Because
Who
the first one
wasn't?
wasn't really anything that special, not bad, but not as well. And then all of a sudden it got they say there's a sequel. It went through development hell, and suddenly it comes out, and it's like holy shit. So Frozen 3 and Frozen 4 could be the same. They could surprise us, even if we think that the story is over. Maybe it's not. Maybe there's more to do with this world. Maybe we're gonna get that official Tangled crossover because we know they exist in the same universe.
Could.
We
We
know.
could. We could. We absolutely could.
So,
Disney Frozen 3 and 4, the start of the Disney cinematic universe.
let me direct you to the 100 years of Disney animation show that they just released. So
Hmm?
that's for the 100 years of Disney animation, they released a short with all the characters kind of coming to life to take a picture together,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
so in a way, you could say that it kind of happened. But
But
all
it
right,
can happen. It can officially happen in Disney films now.
yeah, like
I mean,
to
also we
actually
had
work
Wreck It
with,
Ralph too, so that kind of already did this as well. But now we get it in
yeah.
Frozen.
Well, the thing is that with Wreck-It Ralph, it was also like done in the internet outside of their movies. Here, it's like in canon.
Yeah.
Hmm. It's a canon event to reference Spider-Verse again. So, so the thing is, besides the cast coming back and Jennifer Lee not returning to direct because she has other obligations now, I have no idea what's gonna happen with the
I
sequels at
think it
this
would
point. But
definitely be interesting if, I understand she's like, the main writer for it and one of the main directors for it and everything, right? Like that. But I think it would be interesting to get new people in and let new people take a crack at it.
yeah. And again, it's not actually that she's even completely. She'll just, because she'll give notes. She'll be
Hmm.
involved
Yeah.
just from a higher chair. So
Yeah.
and for the record, maybe again that's another thing I'm talking about with passing the torch. Maybe they are passing the torch because we
Hmm.
don't even know if the other director is coming back. We don't really know anything at the moment,
True.
so we'll
We
have
just
to
know that
wait
they've
and
been
find out.
announced because it was just announced this year. So, yeah, they've not had time to really do much of anything.
Yeah, so let's see what happens, and
I'm definitely curious because, again, like we said earlier, it's definitely one of those things of I feel like this story is done. I feel like these characters are done. The writers and director, two of the big people behind both films have said they felt like it was done. So I'm curious to see where this can go. I'm curious to see what they can come up with and do with this at the very least. Like, yeah, it's definitely one of those situations. I don't.
yeah.
I feel like it's not gonna turn out well, but again, we live in a world now, and
Mhm.
that
We live in a society.
you can't
uh,
discount any of it anymore. Who knows? They could turn out with
mhm,
something amazing. I hope
yeah.
they do. I really do. We will see.
Mhm. Well, that being said, anything else to say about Frozen to wrap this discussion up?
No, I mean it's good. If you hate it because it's overhyped and overpopular, it's fair. I get it, but it is in general, ignoring all of that. It is in general two
I would say
good films.
there's definitely a reason why it blew up as much as it did. There's
Again,
a reason for
and I mean,
it. It
I can
didn't
sit here and
just
say that it's not my favorite, right? There are Disney films to me that I find that way higher up on the totem pole, but they're still solidly good films. Both of them have their problems, but
Mhm.
still solidly good, in my opinion.
Yeah. Hmm. So yeah, I'm so happy 10th anniversary Frozen. Thanks for all the memories, and let's see where the
Hmm.
future leads with this. And maybe we'll be here in another 10 years saying that Frozen 3 and 4 were a terrible idea. I don't know. We'll see.
We shall
So,
see.
but for all intents and purposes, I'm glad that I can say I've been a part of this Frozen ride and
Hmm.
onward with the future. So that was all for this episode of the Outcast. We hope you enjoyed it. What are your thoughts on Frozen? What is your favorite Frozen song? What is your favorite Frozen movie or short or anything?
Do you like
And
Once Upon a Time?
I was just about to say that, so thank you for stealing my joke. You can tell us all about it in the comment section below on our Tumblr, which is Berkcast Team, and on our Twitter, which is Berkcast with capital B, capital C. Until the next episode, I was HC.
I was Wolf.
And we will see you all next time. Take care.
Bye
And let it go.
bye. Boo.